Indonesia, a place where the earth comes alive, with islands packed with secrets that blow your mind. Dangerous volcanoes erupt, giant lizards roam the land, a rare coffee's made from animal poop, the world's biggest flower, stinks and markets float on rivers. Let's check out 5 wonders that'll hook you. Let's hit the road together to discover these epic wonders of Indonesia. The wild fury of Indonesia's volcanoes. Picture the ground shaking under your feet, a low roar, rumbling like the earth's breathing fire. In Indonesia, this ain't a fantasy. It's everyday life in the heart of the Ring of Fire, a strip around the Pacific Ocean, where over 120 active volcanoes shape the landscape, the culture, and the fate of millions. These living mountains are gateways to the planet's core, spewing lava, bright like rivers of fire and ash clouds that climb miles, able to darken the sky, and even mess with the global climate. In 2025, one of these mountains shot an ash column 11 kilometers high, grounding flights and blanketing villages with a layer of volcanic dust, like the Earth's painting the world with its rage. What makes these volcanoes so unpredictable? They sit at the epicenter of a massive clash between tectonic plates that move like restless giants, pushing magma under pressure to the surface. Unlike other places where lava flows smooth, here eruptions are explosive. The magma, trapped by layers of rock, builds up energy until it blows in clouds of toxic gases, red-hot rocks, and ash that travel miles. In 2024, an eruption forced thousands to ditch their homes, while hot ash set everything in its path on fire. Tropical rains, so common in the region, turn that ash into deadly mud rivers, called lahars, that rush down slopes, dragging trees, bridges, and even whole villages. In a tragic event, dozens of lives were lost in floods, loaded with volcanic debris. But where there's destruction, there's also life. The ash, rich in minerals, turns the soil into one of the planet's most fertile. Lush rice fields, coffee plantations, aromatic and juicy tropical fruits bloom at the foot of these mountains, supporting entire communities. Just like the earth, in its fury, hands out gifts. The Indonesians have learned to live in this tricky balance, honoring volcanoes like living gods. In ancient ceremonies, offerings are placed on altars to calm these forces, while colorful temples dot the slopes, blending spirituality and respect for nature. These people's resilience is unreal. With cutting-edge monitoring systems, the country's geological agency tracks every quake, raising alerts and saving lives. When volcanic activity ramps up, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. The world's biggest flower. Can you imagine hiking through a humid Indonesian forest, where the air's thick, loaded with the smell of wet dirt and decaying leaves? Suddenly, between the trees, you spotted a massive flower, bigger than a car tire, with blood-red petals speckled with white spots, giving off a stench that reminds you of rotten meat. That's the Rafflesia arnoldii, the world's biggest flower, a botanical beast that feels like it's straight out of a sci-fi flick. Found in the jungles of islands like Sumatra and Borneo, this natural wonder is as fascinating as it is mysterious, a queen of the forest that draws you in, shocks, and intrigues anyone who sees it. Let's dive into the world of this wild plant, extraordinary, that flips everything you thought about flowers. In Indonesia, tropical forests are a green maze, with vines hanging like curtains, and the constant buzz of insects and birds. It's in this wild setting where the Rafflesia rules. Unlike delicate flowers that deck out gardens, it can grow up to 1 m wide and weigh over 10 kilos, like a giant pumpkin. Its petals, thick and meaty, open like a 5-pointed star, revealing a center covered in weird spines, and a texture that feels more like leather than a plant. But what really hits you is its smell. Called the corpse flower, for a reason, it gives off a stench of rotting flesh, so strong you can smell it from yards away. That stink ain't a flaw. It's a genius move that lures flies and beetles, its pollinators, who mistake the flower for a carrion buffet. It's nature playing smart, transforming something gross into a survival tool. What makes this flower even wilder is how it lives. The Rafflesia is a parasite, a vampire of the plant world. It's got no leaves, stems, or real roots. Instead, it invades the vines of other plants, sucking their nutrients like a sneaky intruder. For years, it grows hidden inside its host, invisible, until, out of nowhere, a bud the size of a cabbage shows up on the forest floor. That bud can take months to open, and when it finally blooms, the flower lives just a few days before rotting, leaving behind a fleeting show. That rarity makes finding it an adventure. In 2025, local guides in remote villages still take tourists down muddy trails, braving rain and rough terrain, to witness this natural miracle. Before it vanishes, the Rafflesia ain't just a biological oddity. It's woven into the culture and economy of local communities. In some areas, locals see it as a symbol of luck, almost a mystical forest entity. They tell stories of how the flower pops up in unexpected moments, like a gift from nature. For tour guides, it's a cash flow, drawing adventurers and scientists from around the globe. But it ain't all rosy. The destruction of tropical forests, caused by deforestation and farming, threatens this flower's survival. In 2024, reports flagged that huge chunks of habitat were lost, shrinking the places where it can grow. Protecting these forests ain't just about saving trees, it's about preserving an ecosystem that lets a plant so unique keep existing. The Rafflesia's charm also comes from its science. Biologists are baffled by its ability to survive as a parasite, without chlorophyll or photosynthesis. How did it evolve to depend so much on another plant? Why does it smell mimic carrion so perfectly? These questions draw researchers to Indonesian jungles, where every expedition is a treasure hunt. Finding the flower takes patience, sometimes weeks of searching in wet, treacherous terrain. And when you finally find it, the impact's unforgettable. Picture the contrast. The vibrant jungle, full of life, and in the middle, a giant flower that seems to defy the laws of botany with its alien look and overwhelming stench. The Komodo dragon, a scorching island in Indonesia, the air thick with the smell of dry grass and salt. From the nearby sea, suddenly you see it, a creature that looks like it crawled out of a prehistoric nightmare, its scaly skin gleaming under the sun, cold, calculating eyes. This is the Komodo dragon, the biggest lizard on Earth, a living relic that rules the rugged islands of Indonesia with unmatched ferocity. Found mainly in a handful of islands in the Lesser Sunda chain, these giants ain't just animals. They're legends blending raw power, sneaky survival tactics, and a presence that gives chills to even the bravest. Let's dive into the wild world of the Komodo dragon, where every step tells a story of power, mystery, and grit. In the volcanic landscapes of these islands, where sparse forests meet rocky hills, the Komodo dragon thrives as the top predator, reaching 3 m long and weighing up to 135 kilos. These lizards are like living tanks, with muscular bodies, powerful tails, and serrated teeth, built to rip flesh. Its skin, a mosaic of gray-green scales, looks like natural armor, blending perfectly with the dusty terrain. Unlike mythical dragons that breathe fire, these monsters have their own weapon, the bite. In 2025, scientists are still studying its saliva, which carries a cocktail of bacteria, so nasty it can take down prey just by infection. Some think they even produce a mild venom, adding another layer of deadliness. Picture a single bite, turning a routine hunt into a slow, deadly trap. Nature don't play fair. Komodo dragons are bosses of their turf, hunting with a mix of brute force and scary patience. They chase everything from deer to water buffalo, using their sharp sense of smell to sniff out blood or carrion. Miles away, their long, forked tongues, like a snake's, flick constantly, tasting the air for the next meal. A dragon can scarf down up to 80% of its body weight. In one go, swallowing whole carcasses, bones, hooves and all. In one documented case, a dragon took down a buffalo nearly 5 times its size, waiting days for the animal to weaken before chowing down. But they ain't just brainless predators. These lizards are smart, sometimes hunting in groups to ambush prey or scavenging carcasses with a terrifying efficiency that leaves nothing behind. A Komodo dragon's life, though, ain't just about hunting. Its world is brutal survival. From birth, a female lays her eggs in burrows and ditches them, leaving the babies on their own. Baby Komodos, the size of a ruler, climb trees to avoid getting eaten by the adults. Yep, these giants are cannibals. Only a fraction make it to adulthood, dodging predators and even their hungry siblings. As they grow, they get bolder, taking on rivals in fights where tails whip like lashes and claws, slash like knives. Males battle for females in duels that feel straight out of a Jurassic documentary, with guttural roars echoing through the hills. Komodos are also part of the local culture. For island locals, they're both feared and revered, seen as guardians of ancestral lands. Legends talk of dragons that protect or curse, depending on the respect they get. Today, they draw thousands of tourists who trek dusty trails to see them in protected national parks. But watching a Komodo dragon ain't like hitting up a zoo. Armed guides tag along with visitors, 'cause these lizards don't fear humans. In 2024, a rare attack on a guide hammered home the need for caution. A reminder that on the island, the dragon's the king. Conserving these giants is a challenge. Though protected, Komodo dragons face threats, like habitat loss and climate change, which mess with their prey. In 2025, conservation efforts ramped up, with scientists monitoring populations and fighting to keep the ecological balance. Every dragon is a living treasure, a link to a past where reptiles ruled the earth. Their presence is a spectacle. Picture a lizard the size of a man, moving with predatory grace, eyes locked like it knows it's untouchable. The Komodo dragon ain't just the world's biggest lizard. It's a symbol of nature's raw power, a survivor still, ruling its kingdom of stone and sun. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The world's priciest coffee. On a lush hillside in Indonesia, surrounded by coffee plantations, stretching as far as the eye can see, with the earthy scent of ripe coffee cherries filling the air. Now, picture a cup of coffee so rare, so exclusive, it costs more than liquid gold, sipped by connoisseurs in fancy cafes worldwide. This is Kopi Luwak, known as the world's priciest coffee, made in a way so wild it seems to defy logic. Coming from Indonesian islands like Sumatra, Java, and Bali, this coffee ain't just a drink, it's a story of nature, tradition, and a bizarre process that turns beans into treasures. Let's dive into the wild world of Kopi Luwak, where the unlikely becomes delicious. It all starts with a small mammal, the civet or luwak, cat-like critter, with bright eyes and nocturnal habits, roaming coffee plantations. These guys have a picky palate. They pick only the ripest, juiciest coffee cherries, gobbling them up with gusto. But here's the part that raises eyebrows. The secret of Kopi Luwak ain't in the cherries themselves, but what happens next. The beans, protected by a tough husk, pass through the civet's digestive system and come out in its poop. The world's priciest coffee comes from luwak crab. The beans are collected, washed thoroughly, dried in the sun, and roasted carefully to create a drink with a unique flavor described as smooth, with hints of chocolate, caramel, and an earthy kick no other coffee can match. Why does this process make a difference? Inside the civet's stomach, digestive enzymes break down proteins in the beans, changing their chemical makeup. This cuts the acidity and gives the coffee a velvety texture that coffee nerds go crazy for. In 2025, a cup of legit Kopi Luwak can cost up to $100 in high-end cafes. And a kilo of beans can go for $1,000 or more. But the price ain't just about the taste. It's the rarity. A single civet produces tiny amounts, and the beans gotta be handpicked. In the jungle or on farms, a tough job that has workers tracking down poop in dense forests. Each bean's like a gem, picked with precision by nature and polished by human effort. In Indonesia, kopi luwak is more than a product. It's part of the culture. Would you sip this coffee? Floating markets. On a narrow wooden boat, the sun rising in orange hues over a calm river, while the air fills with smells of spices, fresh fruits and grilled fish. Dozens of colorful boats rock gently, loaded with ripe mangoes, baskets of peppers and shiny fabrics, with vendors shouting deals in a symphony of voices. You're at an Indonesian floating market, a lively scene, where rivers and canals turn into bustling streets of trade, culture and life. Found in places like Kalimantan and Sumatra, these markets ain't just fairs. They're the heart of riverside communities, where water's the road, home and livelihood. Let's cruise through this vibrant world, where every paddle stroke tells a story of tradition, color, and human connection. In Indonesia, an archipelago with over 17,000 islands, rivers are the veins of life. In areas where roads are scarce, floating markets pop up as a natural fix, turning waters into trade hubs. From dawn, boats of all sizes, from hand-carved canoes to rafts packed with goods, meet at key river spots. Vendors, often women in straw hats, paddle with skill, balancing stacks of coconuts, bananas, and sacks of rice while haggling with customers. In other boats, the noise is non-stop. Laughter, bargaining, the splash of paddles, and tropical birds singing. It's organized chaos, a water dance that's been going on for centuries, linking villages and supporting families. What makes these markets so dope is the explosion of colors and flavors. Picture a boat loaded with bright purple mangosteens, another with piles of fiery red peppers, and a third offering rice cakes, wrapped in banana leaves, still hot. Floating food vendors whip up dishes on the spot, with woks sizzling on makeshift stoves, serving spicy soups or grilled fish skewers, straight to hungry customers. In 2025, these markets keep pulling in not just locals, but tourists who cruise narrow canals to try local treats like soto banjar, an aromatic chicken coconut milk soup, served in wooden bowls as the boat sways. But floating markets are more than a spot to buy and sell. They're the social pulse of communities. Here, news spreads as fast as the boats. Neighbors swap gossip, fishermen share river stories, and little kids swim between boats, laughing as they try to sell lotus flowers. Now tell me, did you dig cruising side by side with me through this country? Don't forget to subscribe and drop a like for the next videos. Till next time, and thanks for watching.